now that we have this thing somewhat interesting looking, let's see. I could go ahead. One other thing that I could do is just a simple split. So go from there, select the near point, select the intersection, use that line right there so that I can now use it to split those two objects with those two lines, and then get rid of these points. Alright. The roof on this thing is going to be, or does not have to be flat. The roof should be somewhat in the same, how it is dynamic in plan, it should also look like in the elevation as well. I'm going to change the look of this thing a little bit by changing the shape. So bring this out a little bit this way, maybe out this way, maybe turn this thing, oops, I don't want to turn it, Control Z. Select that point, push it in so that it too becomes a more dynamic shape. The floor down here probably should be a little bit more dynamic shape as well, so I'll change that while we're here. Solid, turn on points, bring that in, bring that this way maybe. All right. But about the roof, what we're going to do is to change the roof angle so that it is a little bit more dynamic composition. For this thing, you can always go back to your trusty rotate 3D. Whoops, rotate as one of the tools. Select that thing right there. Select that point over here, and then we could, I don't know, give it 10 degrees or something. So since my arc is showing the other direction, I'll say negative 10 degrees. So now the roof is at an angle. But that's at an angle in one direction, it's not doing anything in the other. So if I want to make this look a little bit even more interesting or dynamic, I could try to turn this thing. So if I use the same confining the vector line, I could draw a line, select a point, hover over an endpoint, and select the tab key so that this is continuing the vector line somewhat like that. And I could now use this, change this point right here to be more up here maybe. Okay, so I'll do that. So select solid, turn on points. That point right there, I'm going to move it, and I'll move it near that line right there and get it to maybe that angle right there. Okay, so this wall is now has in the elevation it kind of looks like a more sloped roof, but we have a problem that this point right there does not match that point right there. So to get that together, we can do a command which we dealt with a little bit in the polygoner tool, a little bit different. This one is orient, not orient 3-point, but just orient. We'll select this object, enter, select the first reference line point, there, and then where we want to get it to. So there it is. I'll change this point, or I'll edit the points and move that point right there. Move. So get it to that point, and now I have a sloped roof in both directions. Okay, so we went from this plain simple pleating to a more dynamic object that is of the same character, but now it looks like it has more direction and all to it. Okay, so it is good that we learned this first initial step, but then these are some ways to modify that plane to make it look a little bit more interesting. Okay, basically, if we did all of these whatchamacallit strips, you'll find that some will create level floors, some will create a more twisted object, some will have more of a direction to it, but also if we use this thing as a generator of the pleated form, you could look at it like it's like letters, right? So I'll draw it on the top view. So one form would be the simple S format. Enter. Another might be, let's say, the E. Okay, so that looks like the letter E. Maybe another might be a, what, G. G would be another one. So this one right there, which is basically upside down form of the E format, but depending on which side the roof and stuff slants. So we've got the G, E, S, and there was something else. F? No. No, F would be if, yeah. We're trying to get one straight single line. Okay, so the other one was the C, so we could go ahead and draw a C, and depending on the direction of the angles and stuff, you could make it look whatever, right? What does that spell? I don't know. Basically, start off with some of these forms, and then you can kind of combine all these together. So like let's say we have this E form right here. If we go ahead and modify that, so that's that, there's that, comes around over here, oops, Control Z, maybe it comes around this way, comes around here, makes a floor which has to be straight, and then comes around and makes another wall, comes around again to make a floor, so you could start to imagine all of these as sections where you could occupy this space right here, this space over here, this if you want to slide down off, I don't know. But basically, a combination of these things might make your project a little bit more dynamic rather than just doing the simple slaloms. Okay, so think about that a bit while you are designing for your vertical park thing.